You're listening to the Badger State Ball Podcast with Prep Baseball Wisconsin, breaking down the top high school prospects and featuring all things college baseball recruiting in a changing world. Hosted by Vinny Rotino, Josh Fields, and Andy Sroka, this is Badger State Ball.
All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Badger State Ball Podcast. Got the name right this time, which is a good start. But I appreciate you guys tuning in, listening. This is back-to-back weeks now that we've been able to record one. Thankfully, we're recording on Monday afternoon. So this is the day, game one here of Brewers-Dodgers, which will be fun to pay a little bit closer attention to. Vinny here with us. So we got Vinny Rotino, Josh Fields, Nick DiBenedetto joining us here today. I am Andy Sroka. So we can just kind of dive in right to it. Maybe first, Vinny, you want to talk about last week's heroics with the Brewers just real quick?
Yeah.
Some boots on the ground notes from you.
Oh, guys, that was the most epic game I have ever been to, just the energy in the stadium. So you guys know that I'm part of the Brewers broadcast team. You can hear my voice. It's hoarse because I was screaming the entire game. I've never been so nervous for a baseball game, only because it meant a lot to the state of Wisconsin for the Brewers to actually win that game, right? I mean, I actually think you lose some fans if you lose to the Cubs right there, especially after the heartbreak last year, losing to the Mets in that 3-game series in the wild card series, and then obviously all the conversations around Bob Uecker being part of this thing, the presence of him in the stadium and in the clubhouse. And then if you go ahead and lose that game, again, I think that narrative just would have been really bad. They went ahead and won. It was unbelievable, the atmosphere. I don't go to a lot of these playoff games. I get 2 tickets myself, and my wife get a couple of tickets, but I actually would rather watch them at home with my daughters. My wife usually goes with a friend or with her mom or something. But that game, I couldn't miss. I'm glad I didn't miss it. It was epic, and you can tell by the way that I'm talking right now. I completely lost my voice. It was crazy.
Yeah, well, you were also getting after it in the parking lot.
I was. I trolled a couple of Cubs fans. It was good. It was good natured, and I actually love the rivalry. Usually, most Cub fans, and you get some of the Illinois people that we work side by side with, are really massive Cub fans. It's good natured. It's actually good for the game to have some rivalries like that, as long as it doesn't get personal or violent or anything like that. So yeah, it was fun to get after a little bit in the parking lot with some of those Cub fans that were at the game.
Yeah, that popped up on social media for me, like organically too. I don't even think it was like
it's going viral. It's going viral for sure.
Yeah, I just saw you messing with people in the parking lot, but again, in good fun. So
yeah,
that made a lot.
Yeah, Vinny, that reel was electric. Single-handedly made my night.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was hilarious to see. Yeah, it was kind of a nail biter both days. I was actually invited to. My friend got won the Cubs lottery, and he invited me to the game. Game 4 at Wrigley Field. I couldn't go, but he said that was like the best environment. He goes to a ton of games. He said it was like the best any sports-related environment ever. Just to talk about how like crazy the series was and intense and fun and all those things. So yeah, seeing it come back to Milwaukee in Game 5 and the Brewers winning it, pretty special. It's hard not to like the Uecker storyline element too, and
right.
So. It's fun to be a part of. It makes the state of Wisconsin baseball just a little bit more interesting nationally too. I think, it's easy for people to forget, but we always kind of wear that chip on our shoulder, I think, as well. So it's fun. That kind of brings us to some topics today. So, I mean, last week we talked about the class of 2026 in the state of Wisconsin. These seniors now, how far they've come this summer. I was just talking to Shooter Hunt actually about this today, the VP of scouting for us here at Prep Baseball, and he was talking about how he himself had kind of overlooked this class of 2026 in Wisconsin 2 years ago when he first starts to familiarize himself with the up and coming players across the country, and fast forward to today, and he was talking about how it might be one of the most memorable classes in the state that he can recall since he's been around doing this. So just kind of a highlight there. But we'll also talk about today. We'll carry that into the class of 2027. So the now juniors in the state of Wisconsin, which is a really fun group because it's a really fun time for these players in their development cycle, because it marks the start. Once the summer ends, August 1st arrive, it marks the start of these players being eligible to be recruited and seek out some next level college opportunities officially. So it's a pretty big time, important time for these players in that cycle, but it makes it fun for us because it's also a obvious time where they make these real tangible jumps in their own game, get stronger, faster, that sort of thing, and they're putting it together on paper as well.
Andy, you want to remind people just kind of, or Josh, you want to remind people as to how that changed was within the calendar year, right? So how that changed as far as recruiting.
Yeah, I'll talk about it, and then Josh too, if you want to chime in as well. But it wasn't this is like the third year, kind of like back to back. Yeah, we've had like 2 full years, 2 full calendars of like this change being instituted. But previously, obviously, like players were kind of able to quote unquote commit whenever, in a way, like that verbal commitment. But that's sort of like gone away in the sense of now it's been replaced by like a little bit more of a formal, organized effort for both sides, both the player and the family, as well as the school, to make like a more official, like concerted effort to get these guys to campus first and kind of like an official tour process. And it lengthened, like, just so speaking towards this class of 2027 that were part of our Future Games team, they didn't commit right away, right, even though like the recruiting cycle opened like on August 1st, which followed the Future Games right after. But the way it's supposed to work, and it did work, was the NCAA wanted like that to feel a little bit more organic, maybe take some of the pressure off those players and schools to commit kids like before anyone's ready. And you saw a lot of these guys that were in that dugout with us, visit these schools, see the campus, like kind of gain that feel for the environment, basically, that they would become a part of. And now they're finally starting to commit, and that feels a lot more natural. But those are some of the biggest, like, it was a huge change, but it's so far so good. It feels right.
And it felt like the first time at the Future Games that we had, like, we basically just went right down the list of our rankings, right? Because in the years past, I know the summer before it was still implemented, but there were still more commits, right?
Yep.
That we couldn't take. Basically, the top, 25 players or whatever that we take. But that's what did feel different about the rule change. Like, this year was the first year, as far as the Future Games were concerned, where there wasn't a whole lot of commits until August 1.
Yeah, and we talked about this on our last week's podcast as well. But it was our second year doing the Senior Future Games, and that part felt a little bit more natural too. Like, we the players from Wisconsin that came down with us to the Senior Future Games side, so they're now seniors in high school. Those players were, I don't know, a little less, like the first year we did it, like the changes were so new that it felt like everybody was a little bit more tense, anxious about like what the future holds. But it felt now that those rules were in place for a little bit longer, some of that stress maybe went away a little. Right. It just felt like a more natural in like dugout to be in, and I think that reflected in the way those kids played too, which was pretty cool. But Fields, you got anything to add just about the whole process or the changes that you've noticed or seen you want to touch on here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just makes, getting seen, and by the summer of your junior year, or even like your 17U summer, I think it just puts more of the emphasis on, hey, let me be freshman, sophomore year, let me be good, let me focus on my development. And then like junior, senior year, when you're starting to get recruited, that's when it's like, okay, it's go time now. It's, how can I get seen? How can I start reaching out to emails and whatnot? So it seems like it's, like it's slowed down, and people are starting to, able to make more of a educated decision on these programs after a while now.
Yeah.
That's a good point too about the freshman and sophomore. Your freshman year, there's not as much pressure maybe on you that young in your development cycle. So that's a really good point, Josh.
Yep. So with that, we'll kind of transition now into the Future Games, not the Senior Future Games, but now the 16U like standard Future Games that we've kind of always held, for a long time. I can't remember what year was the first year we've been doing it, but we're talking about here the class of 2027. So this group of Team Wisconsin players that we brought down with us to Georgia, I think represented the state super well. When you say, Vinny, we went 2-1, we got off to kind of a weird, tough start with Missouri, but played a really, really good Team Indiana, and Team Illinois was one of the better teams we've played since we were down there, just in general. Beat both those teams in the next two games. But it was fun because it felt like every single kid on this roster showed a little bit of something, a little bit of their game, like in this environment, and that always makes it a lot more enjoyable to watch too. When you feel like everybody has something to be proud of coming out of it.
Yeah, especially the way that they kind of bounced back after. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, look, it's a showcase. We're not really caring about wins or losses, but maybe just a little bit, not sloppy, but just might not have been clicking on all cylinders that first game, and then the way that they all kind of came back and just like you said, they showed what they can do. Everyone had a little bit different tool set, and they weren't overwhelmed. I wouldn't say any player was overwhelmed by the moment, which is cool because that is easily the biggest stage they all have played on. I mean, there was over 300 coaches there, all these different college programs. This is make or break time for these kids, and they all kind of balled out. It was really cool over the 3-day event. So it was really cool, and I was proud of every single one of those guys to be part of that group. I know you guys felt the same way, but they really showed out well.
Yeah, it's my favorite time of year for sure. Like bring those guys down there and just getting to play and see them like perform on this huge stage, like and doing it and like it's a ton of fun. Which kind of brings us to some of the we'll get right into like the players here that stood out, and we could talk about the entire roster if we wanted to, but just pulling out some names here that stood out right away. Well, Grady Cheever was one of them, switch hitting catcher from Germantown, who. He homered from the left side. He had hit a ball. I can't remember what the exit velocity was, but he hit a ball from the right side, really hard. And he just had a ton of barrels throughout the entire week against some quality pitching, quality arms. Went 4 for 10 in total with a homer, 3 RBIs. And we've always liked him behind the plate too. And I thought he was actually turned into the most dependable catcher there for us as well. So that's just a huge note for him, because if he can continue to look the part of a catcher while hitting at sort of the rate that he showed in Georgia on that stage, that makes him a really intriguing prospect.
Yeah, and the fact that he is, I'm looking at his measurements, what we had him at on July 23rd. That's when we took his measurements. He's 6 foot, 158 pounds. I mean, he's with low body fat. I mean, does he play 3 sports, or is it just basketball in the winter, where like he's a pretty good basketball player? And so he really pushes his body hard in the winter. And so he really hasn't had an opportunity to put on a lot of strength and mass and weight. And once that comes, I mean, this kid is going to be special. And I don't use that word lightly, because we've always loved the makeup. We've always loved the skills, both behind the plate, the fact that he's a switch hitter. And yeah, he really showed up. And he showed a ton of hitability, and I love the natural rhythm and timing that he was showcasing at the future games. He actually talked to me about it. He's like, man, something really clicked about 2 weeks before this, and I'm glad it did. And because he, like I said, the timing, the rhythm was there. I mean, Team Wisconsin was facing some pretty tough arms all the way through, and he did not look like he was overmatched in even one at bat. And so that was, I mean, a lot of players played well for us, like I just mentioned, and we just mentioned, but Grady Cheever probably did himself the most favors the way that he played over the 3 days, over the 3 games. So it was really impressive what Grady Cheever did. Yeah,
even the outs were hard. I remember thinking that at the time too. Just he was all over the barrel, and facing some velo, just felt completely unfazed by it, and. He's an immediate standout, I think, to all of us coming out of that event. Another one too, and maybe on the more expected side, I guess you'd say, quote unquote, but Ira Hilbelink from Cedar Grove, Belgium, outfielder, just really, really strong kid, compact right-handed hitter. He rose to number 4 in our most recent rankings update. He had one of the best batting practices of any of the prospects in attendance at the future games. Hit an average exit velocity of 99.4 miles an hour, 103 max. Hit a home run deep into the night against Team Indiana on Friday night down there. That was a matter of time, it felt like. He had 4 hits throughout the week, double, home run. Josh, I mean, you've seen him too, like throughout the summer as well, and you saw him in the spring, I think against Random Lake or something like that, but he had a great spring on top of it. But do you want to talk a little bit about just like what you'd seen before and then during the future games and, even after? I can't remember if we've seen him again this fall.
Yeah, I mean, Ira just flat out plays and produces in front of us. It's a mature way of playing, and he's just in control of everything he does on the field, whether it's on the mound, in the box, or defensively in center. But like, you really love just you love the performance, and he just has tools to back it up. Like there's game speed. I mean, he's a 7.03 runner, but he plays much faster than that, both on the base paths and defensively. It's an easy swing with a ton of strength, like you had mentioned at the plate. I mean, he gets to it with like just ease, and it barrels it hard with leverage up in the air. Like, I mean, this is a guy that's gonna really hit, I think, and I mean he performed against all those arms that we faced out there.
And Josh, I love that kind of you said it, the adjective a couple of times in there. It was with ease, because when you look at the body and when you look at the athlete that Ira Hillblank is, you think that there's going to be potentially some effort and more like a strength based type of an approach to the game of baseball, but it's not like at all. It is so free and easy. And like you look at how he throws on the mound, it is 91. And it's like, this is like the easiest, simplest delivery you've ever seen. And it just like jumps out of his hand at 91. We got him up to 91 in the future games. And then in the batter's box, it's just, again, a simple, repeatable, easy swing that just all the work is done out in front with his great hands, and then it's just like bat speed galore out front, barrel, and then the ball just absolutely rockets off his bat. So, and then when he plays center, and I love that you said, Josh, that he plays faster than the 705 speed. When he plays center, it is like really good jumps, really good routes, really sure hands. And then the ease as to which he gets the baseballs. So it's like to me, it's a no doubt center fielder at the next level in college, and it's a no doubt probably 2-hole to 4-hole hitter. It depends on obviously what program that he ends up at, but it's like this kid can play. And then I keep going. Sorry, my last thing is the makeup. The kid, the person, is about he's not just a nice kid because he wants to rip your head off when he's competing in the lines, but it's just like very coachable, but yet a very confident and sure of himself player in person. So couldn't say better things about Ira. Was really, really just kind of blown away by the whole package of Ira.
Yeah, that's a good note about the kid too. We had a lot of great kids in the dugout with us. No,
right.
No bad eggs or anything like that stick out. But with Ira too, just mentioning that he's always been like really, really eager to just get better. Like he's not really satisfied with, I think he knows like, yeah, great. Like I hit the ball really hard in the future games. Like I performed on this stage, but he was really eager to ask questions to us and me and Vinny and just about like, okay, great. Like I'm here, but like, how do I advance? Like, how do I get better from here? And like, he's definitely hungry for that. And those are just things I think you like to see in a player of this caliber. Like the talent's already there, obviously, but it's like the fact that he's not satisfied with this is really cool to see. You can appreciate that for sure. Next up here on our list here of standouts, and I mean, Kai Rogosinski, this is now our number 1 ranked player in the state, left-handed hitting shortstop with just a ton of tools, huge arm strength across the infield, like mid-90s across the infield, with nice, like just a pretty left-handed swing that I think is just really easy to like just the first time you see it, whether it's BP or in-game. He's not quite unlocked it, but that's almost like a good thing because it just feels like it's still totally in there. But along the way, he really started to look more and more and more like a true shortstop at the next level. So all these things are just adding up into like a really high level player from the state of Wisconsin, like who fits the mold of like these number 1 types who find ways to force themselves into the MLB draft conversations, whether it's out of high school or in college here. So he's the number one, still uncommitted technically in our state. He's gotten a ton of attention, deservedly so. But yeah, Vinny, what do you kind of recall about his performance down at the Future Games?
Okay, I sound like a broken record, but so impressed with Rogo, the whole package. Also, just a tremendous kid and player in person, and the competitor. Okay, so this is what stood out to me. Aside from all of the eye-popping metrics that this kid has, the athleticism is off the charts. The ability, his arm strength is off the charts. The ability to move laterally, the way the ball jumps off his bat in BP, all that. The swing, it works. Okay, left-handed, everything. Okay, the whole package. But this kid was in game, and he was not afraid to get to 2 strikes, hit with 2 strikes, and then foul off really, really tough pitches over and over again until he got something that he could handle more in the zone. Just the ability to battle in at bat, didn't care what he looked like in terms of like an off-balance swing. So that's not a given that players will do that and are willing to do that and have the ability to do that in their competitive kind of mindset in an at bat. That, to me, is what stood out, and that, to me, is what's going to make him and unlock what you talked about, Andy, unlock that hitability that's still, it's still coming. And so that's why I think he's going to be a very productive player at the next level. He's going to be one of those kids that really just kind of jumps and pops at the next level. You think about a Gavin Keelan. I know that Gavin, performed well on the national stage or whatever, but like in high school, his high school season, like he kind of, didn't really show what he was capable of showing until he got to college, right? And I can see that happening for Kyle, even though I do think he's probably going to blow up here this year, big time. But you can see that that's a similar type of attributes that Keelan has, that Rogo has, that ability to compete in at bat, and just kind of that overall feel for the game is there.
Yeah, I mentioned like the way you talked about that too, Vinny, is a great call with his approach, because I mean sometimes you just draw a bad hand at a place like the Future Games, even where I don't know, you're not getting a ton of strikes, like you've walked, maybe back-to-back at bats, and you're 3-0 and you're next to bat or something, and
right.
You can get pretty frustrated with that, or chase. I mean, and you're kind of taught or told to be pretty aggressive at a place like the Future Games, because you don't want to walk 3 times, of course. But he was in that same situation where he was not getting a ton to hit, just coincidentally, but he wasn't really pressing, and he was fighting off pitches, and like he would take a walk after a long at bat. It felt like he wasn't really chasing, expanding the zone, or like swinging and missing too much. Despite that, he wasn't frustrated about it either. So I felt like even though he didn't come out of this thing with 5-6 hits or something, nevertheless, like he still found ways to look like a person you could start every day at shortstop and not worry about in the lineup.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah, Fields, maybe you take this next one here with Logan Hagman, because it was the same way with Logan, where I felt like he didn't get the chance to hit like a 500-foot home run like we all wanted him to, but at the same, it's not to say that he didn't find ways to stand out either.
Oh yeah, I mean, this might be the best just bat in the class currently, presently speaking right now. I mean, he stands out in the box. He might be able to like physically look the part in a college lineup right now, tomorrow, even today. But I mean, it's present, powered all fields, and I mean he's got some athlete. There's some foot speed. I think it's a 6'8" runner with all types of easy bat speed and strength. And then defensively, whether it's behind the dish or in the outfield, I think, I mean, he's going to be able to figure out one of those spots. But the bat is just too good. I mean, there's probably a current hit and power tool right now. So, I mean, just a potential run producing bat that really looks the part in the box.
Yep.
Yeah, and he wasn't and then like maybe he wasn't getting the results, but like he talk about a kid that wasn't necessarily pressing. I didn't see, and he just stuck with his approach and just continued to take great swings throughout the 3 games. So yeah, I mean this could be a kid that just hits his way back into the top slot as well, like the state. So yeah, that's got that kind of bat.
Yeah, and it's not even I don't. It's not like he went hitless or anything down there.
Right.
He had two doubles, and everything was still hard and out. So
Yeah, he smashed like a double at some point or something like that. But
Yeah.
so it's not like he. I want to make sure that we're not downplaying what he did down there anyway. But yeah, so Logan Hagman, number 2 ranked player in the state currently, but like I think Fields said, he was ranked number 1, and a lot of that had to do with him being just like the slam dunk best bat that we've seen so far, and I don't think that's changed really either. Ryan Rose up here. This is like one of the toughest kids we've ever brought down to the future games. I think he came down with us. He was kind of banged up actually, but like still found ways to like show super well. And when he's fully healthy, he has one of the best combinations of strength and athleticism there is in the class. He can really run. He didn't run at the future games, but I mean he's yet another like elite runner on this list within this state's class. The left-handed swing, I mean, he's always a little more physical than I think he is just in my head. So when seeing him take BP is just really impressive. And then finding a defensive home, maybe that'll be sort of the next step for him. But, the level of athlete is so rare that you're not super worried about where that might be just yet. But yeah, I don't know. Anything you want to touch on with Ryan here?
Yeah, what did he have? Like a little bit of a sprained knee or something. He refused to come out. He was running the bases kind of gingerly. But again, like still he's, I wish I was ever that fast because he was still probably running about as fast as I was, when I played. But so super athlete. Love talk about another kid with just tremendous makeup, tough. Also really just a simple kind of approach, simple swing at the plate. And, you just love the player overall. You just love the kid. So, yeah, he's got a super high ceiling. And what is he, 11 now or 10 now for 10, us? So, yeah. He's going to find a home and he's going to, not surprise anybody, but like he's going to find a home and he's going to help a program next in a couple of years.
Yeah, it almost feels like, too, like 10 is almost his, like, floor in a way.
Right.
I think we're all pretty high on him and the athlete, so.
Yeah, and the bat just has continued to get better, and, if he figures out a defensive position, that only adds to what he brings to the table.
Yeah, and he made a ton of hard contact down there, too, and, so a lot to like with Ryan. Carter Fry as well, like, this is another great example of someone just, like, hanging tough because he just scuffled a little bit at the plate, I guess, in the first 2 games, like whatever. Game 3 against Team Illinois, he goes like first at bat, launches a home run, second at bat double. One of the top athletes, top runners at the entire event. He was ran a 6.44 down there. Makes a ton of hard contact for someone this size. I mean, he's pretty thin still, and yet he like always finds ways to make like 95 plus average exit speed or something, and he hit a ball like 98, I think was his max in BP, which is pretty impressive. Just again for his size, like just he's thin right now, and like the fact that he's still got a ways to go in developmentally and stuff. I think that just goes to show what kind of ceiling there is as well here for Carter.
Yeah, Josh, you want to take him? I'll add on.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Andy, he hits the ball hard for a guy that's not that big presently, so it's like you don't really care about the size at that point. Like this guy hits, it's a potential leadoff hitter with, center field traits. I mean, what's more to not like about this?
Yeah.
I mean, he's been a 2-year varsity starter and has been really performing on the high school season as well. So like, ton of arrow up for him, green flags for him.
Yep.
Yeah, and he he didn't perform the first couple of games, and so he comes out in that game 3 and just kind of set it on fire, right, with the homer, the double, and it would be easy. It's such an easygoing personality, this kid. I would have been like panicking, like, oh my goodness, it's my opportunity, and I'm not making the most of it. And then he made the most of it, and that's what was so cool to see about Carter. And again, that's what college coaches are. Yes, they're tapping into and looking into, the metrics, the physical tools, the traits, the abilities, and the skills in between the lines. But like a lot of them, like the good ones, are really trying to tap into like, okay, what's going on in between the ears? And for Carter Fry to do that is like a real big green flag for me, and I know for a lot of coaches around the country. So great job by Carter, and it was a pleasure to have him at the event.
Yep, still uncommitted as well, Carter Fry. So we'll keep tabs on that, but certainly a player to check out with that level of athleticism. Just don't come across it too often. But one of the most fun outcomes out of the future games was Aiden Waterstreet's performance. I thought was this was someone like Pete Hammett on the Illinois side, but he covers the Rock and tournaments and stuff for us, kind of all around, in addition to Fields. And but he saw Aiden Waterstreet down in Rantoul, Illinois, Central Illinois tournament, and just he was dead on with his assessment here with Aiden, because he thought that it was one of the better bats, first of all, that he had seen down there. He two-wayed for us at the future games, and he liked it on the mound as well. But we didn't have a ton of expectations per se on Waterstreet. But he goes down there, his BP, he was the very last BP round we had, and it turned out to be one of the best, maybe even the best. He just was all over the barrel from the left side, and totally carried over in game. I asked him if how often had he seen 90 miles an hour or something like that. He said, well, never. That was the first time. First at bat was a double down that he pushed down the third base line, and he really did not swing and miss very much for someone who just hadn't seen that caliber of pitching very often in his life to that point. So he was a huge takeaway, huge winner. If he's just really only tapping into the skill set he has. What an amazing start.
Yeah, and the swing is so free and easy, and it's who it reminds me of is it's a pretty good comp here is Adam LaRoche, right? So from the left side, big, tall, stands up, yes, tall, long, lanky player. And then stands tall in the box, and then just you love the timing, the natural feel of kind of that dance with the pitcher, and he was able to get his barrel to the ball a bunch of times over the course of the at-bats that he had. And, so like you said, he plays, doesn't play for, a totally well-known program in the summer, but he comes out and wasn't, talk about a kid that wasn't overwhelmed by the moment and really did a great job. And we were really impressed with what he was able to do on the mound, how clean and free and easy that delivery was as well. Threw strikes, spun a pretty good breaking ball to go with the fastball. That was up to 86, I think, or
87.
87. I mean, did we not ask him what was the hardest he's ever thrown? And I think that was it. I think that was his max. So. Yeah. So took advantage of his opportunity, and so wouldn't be surprised if Aiden landed somewhere, probably a place where he wasn't expecting to land before the summer started.
Yeah, I just love stories like that. A guy's just kind of taking advantage of a situation where he was kind of a late add to our roster as well, one of probably the last one, and again, just took full advantage of it. So it's just really cool to see that come to fruition. But one of the performances I was most excited about, selfishly, was Cal Schneider on the mound. He was teed up to start our game against Team Indiana under the lights on Friday night. It was an awesome matchup on the quad too, with everybody else. All the other games going around us were some big time matchups. There was Florida, Georgia was on one field, Ohio, Virginia, or something like that on another field. So there was not a point in time at the future games where there were more coaches on the quad than this Friday night game. And it was perfect to have Cal out there kind of set the tone for us. But my favorite moment was Cal, leadoff single, Team Indiana, they're good. And then the next at bat, 3-0 count, which is very un-Cal Schneider-like. He doesn't walk anybody. Just totally from that point on locks in. He comes back, gets the hitters, strikes out him, and then clean inning the rest of the way, clean second inning too. Showing a little of the swagger, Cal trademark swagger on the mound, but just looked terrific. It was in the mid 80s. It was just really easy to like the crowd. He had more coaches there in his second inning than he did in the first, and all of it was just super fun to see. And committed to Louisville. I think he was the first commitment on the future games roster, committed to Louisville now. But Vinny, what do you got?
One of my favorite pitchers of all time. Not just scouting prep baseball players in the state of Wisconsin. I'm talking one of my favorite players of all time. All the years that I've been involved in professional baseball over a couple of decades. I'm not kidding. I mean, this kid is special. So when I played. And then when I scouted for the Rangers, I wanted to play with, and then I wanted to acquire players that had this kind of mindset on the mound where you wanted to play behind them because they did everything. They had all these attributes of a winning pitcher. So through strikes, right, was able to put guys away with 2 strikes, fields their position well, holds runners well. And so all those things he checks all those boxes in order to be a winning pitcher, and you can tell that within watching him pitch against one batter. Like he works quickly. There's good tempo. There's good pace. And so, I mean, I'm not even talking about his touch and feel for the baseball. I'm not even talking about how loose, free, and easy that delivery is. I'm not talking about how the fact that I actually think he's going to throw hard enough to get drafted at some point. I just do. I just think that delivery just works. You see so many. If you were to pull up a bunch of professional left-handed pitchers, big league professional left-handed pitchers, this is what they probably look like when they were in high school, a sophomore in high school, going into their junior year. Just love him. He threw back-to-back changeups to punch out a guy. He threw a front hip sinker, 2-seamer to a right-handed batter late in that bat to punch out a guy. And then, you like you said, Andy, the swagger around the mound. The confidence, love him. The sky is the limit for this kid. Can't say enough nice things about this kid. Louisville got a steal right here, or they just got a great player, a great pitcher right here, and he's only going to continue to get better.
Yeah, perfect. There's nothing to add or anything. Like it sums up Cal perfectly. He had an unbelievable statistical spring, as a sophomore in the state. Faced some pretty big time programs in the state too for New Berlin Eisenhower. Totally answered the call every single time out. Has the same exact success in the summer, and then gets to kind of do it all again on this stage at the future games. So.
Josh, do you want to what? I mean, I know the metrics on his fastball and stuff are crazy, right? I mean, it's crazy horizontal.
I mean, he has. I mean, we talk about how advanced he is pitchability wise, but I personally think it's the perfect combination of just present pitchability and command and touch and feel paired with the upside. It's loose with strikes. We don't see a lot of loose arm actions that can actually consistently sync everything up.
Good point.
He's doing that with 3 pitches. I mean, he has a legit sinker already, a changeup that's going to be able to get righties and lefties out, like you said. I mean, he already uses it as a go-to option. His slider is a 2-plane weapon that's going to be able to, also play in and out of the zone as well. So, there is a lot that Cal Schneider, checks in terms of, check boxes, everything's just a ton to like here.
Yeah. You're the man, Cal. All right, sweet. Well, on to some other arms here. I'll go a little quicker, I guess, with these guys, and then once I rattle through these, we can kind of pick and choose the players we'll elaborate on a little bit more. But Jacob Koisman from Luxembourg Casco, he was the very first arm of ours to throw at the future games in that Missouri game. So he's a shaky first inning, but kind of what Vinny was referencing earlier, it was almost more impressive just how he came back and battled through. In inning number 2, he just had a shutdown inning, if I remember correctly. And what I tell players, or we tell players down there all the time, is just that that almost sends a bigger, more important message to the onlooking college coaches and so on there. If you're going to get hit around at times at the future games or anywhere, and being able to rally back from that, I think sends a pretty important message that you can pitch through some trouble and lock back in, finish the start strong. So Koisman did just that, and he was even better this fall. We'll touch on that maybe in a second once we get through these names. Josh, if you want to talk about our latest look at Koisman, I think it was really, really good, so we can mention that here shortly. Mason Horn, athletic lefty from Muskego, looked awesome against Team Illinois, up to 87 with a real breaking ball. He's an athlete, too. He was really impressive down there. Dylan Schreiber, really, really long levers, a little bit more athletic than you'd expect for someone who's as tall and long levered like he is, 86, 89, with 2 secondaries. Changeup's really good. Just committed to Purdue recently. Joey Shaw, QB1 of Muskego, mid-80s, up to 87 with 2 pitches. He pitched great down there against Indiana. Chase Walter is someone I think we can spend a little bit more time talking about, too, just because he really, really broke out, I thought, down there, pitching against Team Illinois, and dominated. Really good fastball, up to an 89, swing and miss slider. He was great. Had a great spring himself for Whitefish Bay. So just mentioning those guys quickly, but anybody want to elaborate on maybe if you want to talk about Koisman first, one of you guys?
Yeah, I can jump in on Koisman right away. I mean, Andy, I think we've said it on this podcast and in, one-on-one conversations that he reminds us really like Brandon Shannon here. I mean, there's a fastball here with some good playing. It looks like it's going to be a fastball that's going to be able to beat hitters in the zone. I know we have another guy that has a fastball like that on our future games, but I mean, it's already up into the low 90s with, right at the top of the zone. He also throws 2 secondary pitches really hard, like with some raw spin numbers that makes you think that, okay, there's a pitch in here, there's a quality offering in here that's going to be able to get some swing and miss there. And then he has a changeup as well, but I mean, I think it's really all about 6'3" frame, loose, ton of just racks up Ks in bunches, and really just able to locate that fastball in the zone at will almost. And then that breaking ball, when he really snaps a good one off, there's some really good action there that's going to get swing and miss at any level.
Yeah, and I'll jump in on Chase Walter. Ryan Dempster comp for me, right? Just the ability, like it's just the kind of the drop and drive, and then he stayed on top of the baseball, like the high 3/4 release, and then really showed a ton of ride through the zone. Athletic. I remember it being like insanely hot the game that he pitched as well. Like, and he kind of had some tough luck behind him. Like things weren't going his way, yet he stayed. He didn't try and rush through it. He continued to make pitches. It was just impressive. Like it was a really impressive look overall from Walter. You kind of mentioned in your notes here on the rundown, Andy, like the pick to click. I mean, kind of is, right? I mean, just the fact that like that's a winning pitcher as well. A guy guys want to play behind. And then Schreiber, I really was impressed with what he did as well. Was that against Team Illinois he started, right?
He started against Illinois.
Couple of really, really quality secondaries to go along with the deceptive long levered delivery with the lower release. So love him. And Horn as well, and Shaw. I mean, these guys all did just an amazing job of really stepping up when their number and name was called to perform. So, and we're leaving guys out as well. So I mean, we could talk all day on this pod about the performances.
Yeah, 100%. Field, anything to touch on there? I mean, we've always liked Chase Walter, but you want to dig into the metrics a little bit more on your side?
Yeah, I mean, Chase Walter. I mean, visibly you can see the fastball is just beating hitters in the zone. I think in that first inning alone, in the first 2 batters, he might have gotten 3 or 4 swing and misses in the zone. But I mean, he has 3 pitches. There's that obvious fastball with carry from the higher release height. He also has a 2-plane slider and a little fading changeup. That, I mean, the slider's thrown a little softer in the low 70s, but he throws the changeup hard. So like, he's able to create depth off of his fastball while throwing with intent. So, the breaking ball, it just goes to show how able he is to create different pitch profiles there as well.
Yeah. And Fields, too, I thought you brought up a great point with Koisman and just throwing a hard breaking ball. Because you definitely don't, if thinking about, like, some of the more rare, I guess, like, characteristics like at this age is like you don't see a ton of that. You don't see a ton of like hard sliders. It's a lot of like kind of a tweener pitch. Like, is it a slider? Is it a curveball? Like, not being intentional enough with one or the other, picking a lane, and that always feels like a college development or like pro ball development. Even if it's like, okay, this guy's now throwing this cut slider or something like that. But Koisman, the fact that he's already throwing like a good breaking ball that gets swings and misses that he trusts firm. is a huge, I think, telltale sign of like the upside here. Is, this is a perfect candidate for throwing like a cut slide or whatever, true cutter that moves just enough. And he also throws, 94, 96 one day, and it's like 91, 92 cutter. And it feels like that type of mold for someone like Koisman. So I thought that was a great note. We'll touch on like the more of these future gamers, I think, inevitably in future episodes here. So we'll kind of put a pin in those guys because there's more 2027s here that I wanted to mention. We kind of get into one of them. One of the most major risers in our latest 2027 rankings update is someone we'll save and tease here for the routine report. But here's some others. Like first and foremost, Cooper Went. Actually, it feels maybe you want to take it away here because Cooper's just one of the top athletes in the Midwest, not just Wisconsin, but it felt like he started to put it together this summer.
Oh, 100%. Cooper obviously like stands out. Just the amount of twitch, the amount of easy burst that he gets just in the field, in the box. It's defensively it's noticeable. It's the first thing that catches your eye with Cooper Went, but also just the fact that 6'4" runner. He really knows how to barrel a baseball. These are just guys that you're able to bet on. These athletes with tools. I mean, there's aptitude here. He's a great kid. He works his tail off in the off season. So there's a lot of like traits and a lot of good things that are going his way that are just he's going to get better. The bat's going to come along. I mean, and it already has this spring and this summer.
Yeah, once you like get down it's because he's ranked just inside the top 25, which again, this feels like more of like a floor type situation for Cooper Wentz, like because the tools here are that special. He's a little bit of everything: the bat speed, torque, arm strength, and he's really just reps away from being an up the middle defensive asset somewhere, whether that's shortstop or center field. It feels like he's close to being that type of person. And then all of a sudden, once you add those traits together, it's like, okay, now we're talking about like a top 10 ranked player in the state. Like he's one of the players like beyond the top 15 or whatever that feels capable of blossoming into like one of the very best players in this class. So Cooper Went definitely deserved some shout out here. Vinny, have you seen Cooper? Or since the winter, I should say.
I haven't since the winter, but I mean, just watching the video from the state games, like I'm like all in, like where this kid really took quite a bit of a jump right here.
Just had a great summer that transitioned right into the state games and his performance there. But another one, maybe the biggest breakout, I guess you could say, feels of the summer. We were like, man, I guess we've been too low on Maxwell Lubnow. He was terrific at the state games. Ultimately, he probably should have been added to our future games roster. I mean, it was that good, just like right away, instantly during his pen. I think you like texted me when we were at the state games to like come over and see it. This is 6'3", 186 pounds. He's up to 89.2, but I mean, I don't even think that really tells the full story. It was just like the feel that he had. The breaking ball was real. If you watch it in the video, it just felt like he had a ton of confidence in it. But yeah, Fields, why don't you just kind of elaborate on this performance that you saw firsthand?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a really good outing. I mean, he showed only threw 2 pitches, but it was like, that fastball that you said was up to 89.2 and a swing and miss breaking ball. But I mean, the strikes were a little come and go, but it didn't matter because he was getting swing and miss, no matter, regardless where the pitch was. I mean, I saw him bounce a breaking ball in the other batter's box, and he still got a swing and miss on it just because of the action that the pitch got. I think there's going to be. I mean, he's 6'3", 186. There's a lot of room left. There's some rawness to the delivery, and I think he's going to be able to harness that and end up being in the zone a little more. But when you're 89 with playing and carry in the zone with a swing and miss breaking ball, you find the zone more often, and you're doing a lot of good things.
Yeah, and it was like a solid repeat delivery. Like he moved well on the mound. It wasn't just a big, arm strength kid. It was pretty refined. Like it was good. There's not a lot to dislike here. This was impressive. So we shoved him way up the rankings here. And I'm sure it's just kind of the start too of his, coming out party. So big things there from Lubnow, Madison West kid, I believe. And then we got, hey, Nick, we put you on the spot last week to come up with the DiBenedetto report. So who do you got for us? I believe you got Cam Glusick from Sun Prairie East. Is that right?
Yep. Yeah. So I was a big fan from the state games of outfielder Cam Gusick out of Sun Prairie East. He impressed in gameplay and also showcased well. He measured 6 foot, 166 pounds with some room to add strength, but definitely an athlete right now. He ran a 6.67 60 at the state games and threw 77 miles an hour from the outfield with some fluid actions, but that velo will tick up as he adds strength to his frame. Took a polished round of BP, topping out at 94 miles an hour with an average of 88. Worked on top of the ball throughout his round with some hard line drives and ground balls. And if I can remember right, the wind was howling in on our field for BP. So he made the adjustment of working on top of the ball. It's working down rather than putting it up in the air. In gameplay, he was on my field for 2 games. He had 3 total hits, including a triple. On my field, he had 2 hits, spraying line drives all over the field. I think he had a line drive single to right as well as one to left. He's currently ranked 43 in the Wisconsin state rankings.
Yeah, that's a good note because the fact that you bring him up here, I'm getting an echo actually from you, Nick, just to let you know. But he getting to fill you in on like the background too with Glusick and just players from Wisconsin as you get more and more familiar with these guys. It's just, like he had unbelievable sophomore spring for Sun Prairie East, playing with his older brother, who's kind of the similar type of performer in that ton of bat to ball, just a ton of hits just in general. Like I think he might have led the team actually. Camden did in hits and had a really high like batting average. Just gets on base, finds ways. Real athlete. So the fact that he was doing it in front of you two just kind of goes to show that he does it anywhere, everywhere, wherever he's going, wherever he's hitting in the batter's box, he just finds a way to get on base. So Camden Glusick, yet another guy on our list here at 2027s who just found ways to break out amongst the crowd in the summer of 2025 here. So we have a ton more names we probably could and should even touch on, and we will continue to do so throughout the remainder of the fall and into the winter here. The list goes on, and we'll break those guys down for you in the coming weeks. But we will put a pin in that for the time being. We'll touch on the 2028s in the weeks to come. Next week, I believe that'll be our talking point, our topic. But to put the final note on this one, so I thought we would spend a little bit of time just talking about the commitments because they've been stacking up. So some future gamers who have committed in the last, 2-3 weeks feels right. I don't think we talked about these guys last episode. Jack Spielman, Cooper Sievert, both committed to West Virginia. 2 future gamers here. Spielman, left-handed hitting catcher who's just gotten really, really strong. A ton of bat-to-ball skills like from a young age. Those have carried over, but now the fact that he's adding some really, really big impact to the batter's box is just only going to help his overall prospect profile. He's really performed this fall, I believe. So shout out to Jack Spielman. Cooper Sievert, right-handed hitting shortstop who just does a little bit of everything. A really likable player, committed to West Virginia now. Like that's just a great gift for them. Chase Stouty, Notre Dame, left-handed hitting outfielder with some athleticism, who's another performer who looked the part in Georgia for us on the future games teams. Schreiber, we mentioned, committed to Purdue. Drew Stepbacher, high spin lefty, committed to Central Michigan now. Schneider committed to Louisville. We mentioned him earlier. Which leaves 3 of the top 4 ranked players in the state's 2027 class still uncommitted: Kyle Rogosinski, Logan Hagman, and Ira Helbling. So pretty notable there. I think like that goes to show just the level of depth in the class that some of these guys behind them on the rankings committed before this group, but no shortage of interest and offers on those 3. But I think it stands out that we still have some of the very best players in Wisconsin who have not yet committed among them. So Fields, do you have anything to add on this group here? I'm sure I'm forgetting some commitments as well.
I mean, we just have a lot of bats that just committed to play some high level baseball. I mean, Big 12, some ACC there, but I mean, looking back on it, I think in the last fall, Andy, you and I were talking about this class and the amount of bats that were just, ready, that were already this good at that time last year, it just goes to show that, this class is also, just a really another special class in the state.
Yeah, because that's almost one of the things that trails behind, I think, when you think of Wisconsin or whatever, cold weather type states, like some of the in-game, like hitting, like, is this guy going to hit? I don't know. I feel like there are fewer of those types, like the guys we're talking about, who are uncommitted right now. It's like Logan Hagman, Ira Hillblink. If anything, it's like, well, they're definitely going to hit. Like some of the other, maybe there's other question marks, whatever, but one thing's for sure, it feels like those guys are like slam dunk, like run producers, run manufacturers. So different group this type of year, this type of class, but it's a fun one to follow. So I'll be eager to see where those guys wind up. I think they'll be high level incomings for whichever school lands them. So good luck to those guys, those three. There's a ton more, obviously, uncommitted names in our list that we'll go through throughout the remainder of this year. So be sure to look out for that. We were going to have a JUCO corner, but I think we'll save that for a future episode. We'll have a very JUCO-centric episode here soon, especially with the amount of Wisconsin guys that are really blowing up, not just in our own state or Illinois, but kind of across the country that Fields is seeing. So we'll get into that soon. All right, that brings us to the Ratina report here. Vinny, another 2027 catcher who really kind of stood out throughout the summer, but like especially ended on an exclamation point at the state games, actually. So you want to talk on here your Ratina report?
Yeah, the Ratina report today. We're talking about Håkan Havstol. This kid really took quite a big jump this summer. Went from the 50th ranked player all the way up to the 18th ranked player. You love the simple, repeatable, easy left-handed swing, and the ball just jumps off the bat. It's kind of like a natural loft to the swing. Can spray it to all fields with that swing. Hits in game, obviously shows out well in the showcase setting as well. Talk about an athlete behind the plate. Ran a 6.99 from behind as a catcher. I mean, that is really good speed. That's the best 60 we've seen him at the state games. Strong, athletic. There's more in this frame as well. So he's only going to continue to get better. He's going to continue to improve on some of the already impressive exit velocities. Average exit velocity throughout the event was at 89 miles per hour, showing consistently being all over the barrel during the showcase setting, but also, like I said, hits in game. This kid is someone that is going to land somewhere and be an asset behind the plate. The skills and the tools behind the plate, he has feel for the catching position. Arm strength is going to continue to tick up. He's at a 2.1 currently with his pop times, but he's quick, he's accurate, and he can throw out runners with that. But Håkan Havstol is an impressive 2027, a catcher who remains uncommitted.
Yeah, awesome. No, that sums up. Yeah, he's made a ton of great strides athletically, and he's always been a pretty good receiver, even from a young age. We've seen him for a while, but some of the strides he made offensively and athletically this summer, perfect. I think that's the move. This was a perfect routine report. So good job.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, buddy. Hey, and I gotta jump off here and run up to American Family Field to record something. So hopefully, by the time you guys hear this podcast, the Brewers are up 2-0. Go Brewers.
Let's go. All right, thanks, Vinny.
Yep.
Thanks, Vinny.
And that brings us to I don't know. Game 1 is tonight. Actually, this would have hit home a little bit better with Vinny on here, but like some series predictions here. Fields, do you have any good series predictions here for us on the Brewers-Dodgers situation?
I mean, there's no more DH, but it would be really cool if Brandon Woodruff would have hit another home run against the Dodgers in the playoffs. But no predictions. Just hoping that the Brewers come out on top here.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm scared to make a prediction. I had it in here because technically there are more Wisconsin players on the Dodgers roster than the Brewers roster. I don't know if that's a good sign or bad sign. Ben Rortvedt, Alex Call on the Dodgers roster, Danny Jansen on the Brewers roster. So I thought maybe to hedge bets here, if Ben Rortvedt, Alex Call, if they homer against the Brewers in this series at any point, DM us. And we'll hand out, we'll randomly pick some winners, throw some prep baseball gear your way. So that way it doesn't hit quite as hard. The wounds will heal faster, hopefully, if one of those two Wisconsin natives homers against the home team. So just keep that in mind. Ben Rortvedt, Alex Call, it's not the end of the world if they homer. You can get some prep baseball gear out of it. But all right, awesome. Anything else we need to mention here? guys. Otherwise, we can bounce. Good to go.
Good to go.
Good to go. All right, guys. Well, appreciate it. Thanks for listening to the Badger State Ball podcast. We'll be back next week. We'll talk about the class of 2028. So until then, we will see you guys later. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening to the Badger State Ball podcast. To keep tabs on our latest events, rankings, and coverage, subscribe or follow the show on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, and follow us over at Prep Baseball WI on X and at prepbaseballreport.com/Wisconsin. Until next time.